What's up, guys? It's me, Jamar Dawson. I hope y'all are doing pretty well today. So I can't believe it, but football is finally back. It's back upon us after a long off season. You know, with football, it brings a lot of fun with family, friends, watching the games, things like that. But it also brings, as y'all know, its fair share of controversy. And controversy isn't always a bad thing, but it certainly is a great discussion starter. The biggest controversy over the last couple of years, as y'all know, has been the issue of kneeling during the anthem. And a lot of people in this country are polarized on one side or the other, it seems. It seems like there's no real compromise for either side. You're either on one side staunchly or the other side. So I've had some conversation with some folks. My father and my uncle both played in the league for about 23 years combined, I think it was. And I got their take on it, I got some other folks' take, and I kind of formulated my own take just as an observer. Obviously, I'm not an NFL player, and I thought, hey, why not share some of my thoughts? Because there might be an opportunity for some compromise, not really just compromise for the sake of compromise, but actual change and action that can bring everybody together as a result of some things. I'm going to share that. That's my take. It's not a black take or a white take. It's not a Republican, Democrat take. This is Jamar's take. Let's go. So obviously, as you can see, I'm a black man. I've been in this skin my whole life, as a matter of fact. I'm extremely interested in seeing the brutality by police against minorities drop. I mean, that kind of goes without saying. I mean, I've been pulled over before. I've been pulled over with guns in the car, and I've been pretty nervous. I mean, as a really young kid, when I first got my license, my parents got me this book called Driving While Black, because, you know, it's just something I can't escape. I can't take this off. I can't hide it. It's something that I have to go through as far as racial tension. So getting back to what I was saying, I feel what the players are doing. They're bringing awareness. After Obama was elected, some good-meaning white folk told me, Jamar, I think that there's no more racial problems. We elected the first black president. I think we're on our way. And I said, no, I think there's some issues that we really got to deal with. This may have given a false sense of completeness by Obama being elected, but that didn't really ease the underlying tensions. So I think that now bringing the discussion back to the forefront, when bringing awareness, lets everybody know that there's some racial issues, there's some tension, and that we really got to deal with it. So I certainly am down with that. On the other side, as it pertains to the flag, I certainly honor the flag and our service members, particularly those who are doing the right things and putting their lives on the line every day for us. There's not really a unifying symbol that really covers all Americans, and I believe that the flag should be that. It could be that. It really needs to be that. If you look at our language, English is not the official language of the United States, so it's not our language. If you look at our religion, it's obvious that Christianity is not the religion of choice or blanket religion here in the country. As a matter of fact, things are kind of moving away from Christianity in this country, as many of you could probably tell. So it leaves us with, what is a unifying symbol that can unite this melting pot of individuals here in this country? And I believe that could be the flag. I believe it could be something that we could unite behind. I mean, let's be honest, when the Union fought against the Southern Confederates, it was the American flag, though it only had 35 stars at the time. It was the American flag that was in opposition to the enemy. So there needs to be something from a foundational aspect. If you go back to its roots, there needs to be something that unites us. I believe it could be the flag. Another interesting fact about the flag, if you are a United States citizen and you are overseas somewhere and there's some turmoil going on, if you can get to that embassy, if you can get to where that American flag is flying out front, then guess what? You'll be under the sovereign protection at a higher level of the United States government and authority. They have sovereignty over you and responsibility over you at a higher level once you get into that embassy. And guess what? The embassy is bearing that flag. Just another thing to think about. So where does that leave us? I mean, what's my solution, I guess you might be thinking here. Well, I believe that, like I said, awareness has been raised at this point. I believe there needs to be a vision, success criteria, and some sort of tracking metric so we can know that we're actually solving a problem, that we can know that things are getting better. In other words, we need some quantifiable data. The players and the stakeholders involved are really at risk of not really doing much with what momentum we have if we don't provide some metrics, if we don't provide some success criteria. So here's my solution. As a math guy, you know I gotta put some numbers out in front of y'all, so let me just read some facts out to you guys. There's been a lot of misdirection in the media and by people with ulterior motives as it relates to police brutality and the racial discussion. So let me go ahead and just eliminate a lot of the unclear things. There's a lot of things that are out there that are wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and knock that down real quick by going into the real numbers. So in this country, there's about 1,220 arrests per hour. That's quite a bit. That equates to about 10.7 million arrests every year in this country on average. The actual amount of police brutality is very, very challenging to try to estimate. Different groups have tried to do it, but it's really muddy as far as the figures. But I'll just use for my numbers the amount of lethal encounters by police as a benchmark. Now we know police brutality as a whole isn't just quantifiable by lethal encounters with the police, but let's just use that as a benchmark. So in 2017, there was about 1,000 shootings by police that were fatal to people in the country. That's about 0.01% of all arrests. So as far as a rate for every arrest, there's a 0.01% chance it'll end in a fatal shooting. And like I said, we're gonna use that for our figures as, let's just say that's brutality, okay? Keep in mind, black fatalities by police account for only about 37% of this number. So out of the 1,000 people shot by police and that were killed, only 37% or 370 were black. Additionally, keep in mind that 99% of all fatal shootings by police, it had a bad guy that pulled and aimed a gun or a knife at the police. So if you're still with me on the math, you take that 370 figure, number of black suspects fatally shot per year by police. You take that, multiply it by 1%, which is the 1% of non-armed people that are involved in fatal shooting by police. Multiply that by 1%, you get 3.7 people that are black each year that could account for police brutality figure that was a fatality. So if you use the metrics and the numbers from the various data points that and data sources that I drew from for this exercise, you can see that about 3.7 black people per year could be classified as a police brutality casualty or incident. That equates to a 0.000034 percentage or a rate of police brutality for a black person per arrest every year. So those are the numbers. I'm not trying to make light of the numbers. 3.7 blacks per year that are involved in police brutality events. That to me is, one is too many. Keep in mind that these numbers include mistakes. Keep in mind that these numbers include incidents where somebody pulled a fake gun on a police. I don't know why you would do that, but I think in one of the recent years there were about 83 people who pulled a fake gun on a police and they were fatally shot. So all these numbers, that 3.7 brutality figure per year, that includes those mistakes and incidents like that. So I guess it comes down to, where does it leave us? Do we say, yeah, zero's enough? Because it seems like people right now are just saying, we just want zero. We just want 0%. We don't want any incidents. Well, that includes mistakes. But regardless if you want 3.7 events a year or if you want zero, I think zero is a good target. But you need to put that number out there. You need to know what the numbers are. You need to have some characteristics of tracking that number. And then you need to be able to define what the success criteria of moving forward each year are. If you're just moving the needle each year by a percentage point, but you don't even know it, maybe you're moving it by 20 percentage points. Maybe you're moving it by 50%. But if you don't know the numbers, if you're not defining that with the success criteria, then we're not really doing anything, because we're not gaining any real knowledge and we're not learning from that. So as I close, I just want to reiterate, I think the players have done a really good job of standing up together and bringing awareness to an issue that really needs the light shed on it. With that, I think that we can now collectively, as black folk, members of the community, and the players, go out into the communities and make things right that we have control of. There's so many things that we could do to change the perception, to change the narrative. I remember when I was in college, one of my white friends told me, and my other black buddy said, man, it must be really cool to have people fear you. And we were like, dude, it's not as cool as you might think. The narrative and the perception has been subconsciously played into different people's minds about who we are as a people, and we need to change that. If you look at the perception in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Our people were grinding. We were united by love. We were united and driven because we wanted to change how people saw us, because we had some demands and we wanted to see those things go forth for the next generation and the current generation. And when people saw our struggle, when people saw our sacrifice, they had no choice but to say, you know what, these are people too. And they were able to align with the demands. They were able to align with what we were asking for and see that, man, this is reasonable. They just want to be treated just like everybody else. I think if we got into our communities and cleaned up some things, if we fixed the broken homes, if we worked on our education, if we worked on our social structure, if you look at our entertainment, it's about violence. I went up to Chicago recently, and there was, in the month of August, I think 2016, there was 80 murders, and there were black on black murders. We could do some things to change the narrative. I think on the flip side, I believe that the police have a way to kind of meet us in the middle. They can undergo training, they can undergo cultural assessments and really interact with the community like never before. You know, I think that as us as black folks start changing the narrative and there's less fear, not to say that that's an excuse or anything, but that is something that's real, for just being real. I mean, I hate walking in the parking lot and I see white people lock their doors because, oh, a black person's coming over. We gotta change the narrative. A lot of people feel me on that. But like I said, back to the police, if maybe we could also invest in maybe some technologies, invest in research and development of especially non-lethal means and some other techniques. Let's throw millions and millions of dollars in police departments so that we can bridge this gap, so that it won't be safer for just black folk, but everybody under their jurisdiction who they're supposed to protect and serve. Those are my thoughts, man. It may not be the popular thoughts, it may not be the ones that's the mainstream thoughts, but I want there to be unity. I believe that we could be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think that we need to get rid of all the folks with ulterior motives and shut those out. It's not gonna happen by the government. It's gonna take two people getting together, folks who are different, folks who may not come from the same background, and doing the legwork. It may be a struggle and sacrifice, but like lifting weights, there's a little bit of pain and then there's growth afterwards. Those are my thoughts. I believe that we can move forward. We got to move forward because on the near horizon, there's some challenges that we need to face collectively as a nation. We gotta be all hands on deck. And I'll get into that in maybe another video, but it's time for us to come forth. It's time not just to be great, but to be better. I believe that we can be the best version of the United States, but it starts now, and we gotta act soon. God bless y'all. This is Jamar's Take. Y'all take it easy. Peace.